So it's great to have two working systems. I'm quietly confident that our audio probably will work. So, how are you doing, folks? We are back with the SEGA Naomi systems. In the previous video, we didn't really get to play them or test them out, so I got some 3.5mm to RCA adapters. I also got some USB B to A cables, but yeah, let's hook them up and test them out. Okay, so here is system number 2. Jump into the BIOS, into the test RAM rather. We go up to sound test. Right speaker is good. Left speaker is good. So I'm going to exit out of that. And we'll play a little bit of virtual tennis, I guess. So I'm on free play.
To serve. $15 low. $30 low. $40 low. Game out. First game. Namoi to serve. 15 low.
Oh, and a miss.
$15 all. $30-15. $30 all. $30-40. Game set and match. Hot.
So system number 2 seems to be working great. The only thing really wrong with it was that the heatsink, the thermal pad holding it on to the CPU, the SH4, had become undone. So we're going to add a new thermal adhesive pad and reattach it. So again, excuse the kind of janky setup here, but basically what we want to do is test the audio here. So I'm just going to throw this on. I'm going to start capturing. And I'm going into the sound test. So left audio, got a tone. Right audio, nothing. But it's kind of apparent on the equalizer, but also just if you listen through headphones, there's some noise and there's the faintest tone coming from that right speaker. So what I think is happening there is that this main board needs a recap. I have the old iron and the new iron, so we're going to try the kind of chopstick 2-iron approach here. There you go. So yeah, that is a lot easier. It's just, this hasn't changed. This is the same technique as if I was using hot air, coming along, cleaning up the pads afterwards. So I finally finished the recap on this board. This was the board with the dodgy right audio channel. I'd safely say that, that took me way longer than I thought. As you can imagine, you're heating up a very small point on the board with the irons. So if you've got large pads underneath, it takes longer for that heat to soak across. So I went back to using the hot air for that, and it just worked out better. So for some I had to use hot air, for others I had to use the kind of chopstick method of the 2 irons. So any day you see me with the keysight probes out is not a good day. I'm using these because they're a lot more precise than the other probes. They got the pogo pins on them, gold pogo pins. So yeah, the recap on the other board didn't work. I have this board out because I know it's working. I've traced, on the other board, I've pinged back as far as this op amp here for the left and right channels. I suspect that might be gone on the other board. So I have the known working number 2 board out here. We're going to go into the ROM and do the sound test on the right channel. And I'm going to just figure out what the working output looks like on the scope. Okay, we're booting, so I'm just going to hit the service button. I'm going to go into the test mode, go up to our right channel, turn that on. I think you should be able to hear it. I can't hear it here because I have the monitor turned off, but yeah, you should be able to hear that. Which hopefully will come up as some kind of sine wave on our scope. So yeah, again, you're not going to be able to see this, but I'll capture an image to make it a bit easier on you guys. And there we go. Okay, so we have the problem console here. Console, keep calling it a console system. Just going to put some tape over this to stop it shorting against anything. Okay, so I'm just seeing a marginal bit of noise. That's about it. So let's see. Five volts. 2.4 volts. So that's probably an average. That's probably because it's oscillating. And our output, 2.4 volts. Yeah. I think this is bad. It's not hot or anything, but I think it's actually bad. So, about a week later, and our replacement op-amp chips have arrived. So we're going to get the soldering tools out, the hot air, and remove the old one and attach the new one. So, now that we've got our quad op amp replaced, we're going to clean up some of the flux, then we're going to test it out and see if we've got our right channel audio back. So great stuff, the right channel's back. Turns out it was a faulty op amp. So, I guess all there's left to do is to play a bit of virtual tennis.
Pass to serve. Fifteen long. First game. Moya to serve. Love 15. Love 30. Log 40. Game set and match pass.
So folks, Just to finish things off, I got the top 3000 out and wrote some EPROMs using the multi-region BIOS. So it's controlled with dip switches here at the back. It's the H revision, which is the latest BIOS. So this unit, or both units now, should work no problem with a GD-ROM setup or with the NetDIMM setup, and with almost 99% of the catalogue as well. The older G-ROM that was in there was the European one, and yeah, that could be limited, especially if you wanted to do like a NetDIMM boot setup. So both of our Naomi systems are working great now. System number 1 here needed a new op amp, but once we got that in, it was sweet. So we were only really able to look at virtual tennis. This shootout pool prize, as I mentioned before, is actually a gambling game and requires a B board of sorts that does the kind of bookkeeping and odds for the gambling side of it. So it really is only a dust cover. I may not hold on to these. By the time you see this video, these could have found new homes. That was one of the reasons I was thinking of for the JVS bridge boards, of getting rid of the power cables I created and using USB, or just telling the user to use USB rather than those, because if they get the polarity wrong, they could damage the JVS bridge board, or indeed maybe even damage the Naomi themselves. So as regards the audio amp on number 1, I'm not quite sure what would have damaged that and why it failed. It's not like the memory chips that we had to replace in them originally, because it doesn't use the same 3.3 volts. But then again, you don't know what mistakes were made in wiring these up in the past, especially considering it uses the JST power connectors. So now that we're on ATX, that should kind of take care of things, as long as the user uses a reasonably modern enough power supply that's got enough power down the 3.3 volt rail. Again, Corsair, EVGA, Seasonic, any of the good brands will do. So I had a lot of fun with the SEGA Naomis. Everything you've seen here as regards troubleshooting, fault finding and repair, you know, it's all down to others on YouTube that I follow. People like Gadget UK, you know, all the way back to when I was watching the Ben Heck show. I learned from others, from seeing and then doing. You know, the fact that I was able to pick up 2 Naomi systems and, you know, a system I'd never worked on before, and fix them, is all down to you guys in the community. So big thank you to everyone out there who, you know, even gives me encouragement when I run into trouble with these kind of things. You're awesome, and you know, it's 90% of the reason that I really enjoy this hobby is because of just some awesome folks out there in the community. So that's been our look at the SEGA Naomi. We got 2 systems up and running with fully functional audio. Coming up on the channel in the near future, we're going to have some Sony PlayStation 2 projects, and I'm sure they won't pose as much trouble as this one did.